Hello. Welcome to this video. It's a somewhat different video than usual, than what you normally see on this channel. And yeah, so I love liminal spaces, right? And so I thought, I'm going to talk about liminal spaces. I'm just going to yap my heart out and just talk about liminal spaces. Now, I do want to say that this video is a very biased, a very, uh, a very biased discussion on liminal spaces, and it's not like very. Don't take this as like a guide to liminal spaces. If you're truly interested in learning more about liminal spaces without any bias or whatever, then I'm gonna link some videos in the description and that go into depth on liminal spaces. And yeah, this video is just me yapping about liminal spaces because I love them so much. I think they're a really cool subject, and I mean I like talking about stuff that I enjoy, and I mean this is my channel, so I'm gonna do what I want. All right, so yeah. But I mean, if you're just interested, if you're interested in someone just talking about stuff if you're interested in listening to me talk about stuff that I enjoy, then I mean, here I am. I do talk kind of fast when I talk about stuff that I enjoy. I don't mean to. It's just something I do. So if I talk too fast, I apologize in advance. But without further ado, let's get into it. So what are liminal spaces? Well, a liminal space is a type of image that usually invokes a sense of nostalgia or like bittersweetness, like emotions about the past, that sort of thing. It could also be kind of dreamlike, like you've seen this in a dream, or it can just be feelings of like places you've been there before. Maybe the places, they may seem empty or whatnot, but you feel like you've been there before. It's weird. It's like a weird feeling. It's like a weird nostalgic feeling. Despite never being there, you feel like you've been there. Like you've definitely been there, maybe in your childhood or something. But you think it makes you feel like you've been there, or you've at least seen this area somewhere, at least in a dream or something. The word liminal means transitional. Yeah, transitional. I think I said it right. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. But a transitional, like, state of time, like it's a space in like a transitional state. So stuff like hallways, stuff like highways, that sort of stuff, right? The in between, there you got your starting point and your end point, and then the liminal spaces. It's the in between. You haven't got to your destination yet, but you haven't started your journey either, right? Even though that is the definition of liminal space, liminal spaces are not always just hallways or highways. Obviously, it can be any sort of location, as long as it's usually like an empty place that lacks people, and it it's just a very empty and like weird place that lacks people, and maybe stuff isn't where it's supposed to be. The lighting is usually has to be a certain way, etc., etc. Now, this is a video about liminal spaces, so of course you can't go a video without liminal spaces without mentioning the backrooms. I absolutely love the backrooms. I love it way more when there's no entities. I personally love the idea of like it focuses more on the location rather than what's in the location, right? And it's trying to like invoke a sense of nostalgia, a sense of like you've been here before, a sense of fear, without without any like entity chasing you. It's just that location that just invokes the emotions. And I feel like the backrooms is this is just my opinion. I just think that it's better to focus more on the location. I think it's so much cooler. SCP is more about entities, I would say, and backrooms is more about location. But from what I've heard, that's a big debate in the backrooms community. Like some people think that entities are good, some people don't think it's good. Like what my standpoint is, but that's my opinion. I don't want to trigger anyone. I just personally like the idea of the backrooms focusing more on the location rather than all these like entities. I think the entities sort of ruin the backrooms, but it technically is a public domain. You could it is a public domain, and so you could interpret it however you desire. And in fact, I'm actually going to explain how I feel about the back rooms and liminal spaces in general, and why I absolutely love the back rooms. I like to think that the back rooms represent the past, of course. I like to how I like interpret it, right? So when you were really really young, right, like when you were like a toddler, you were more focused on, you know, family, friends, or, you know, toys, or like um or just, you know, issues, just like random like baby issues, right? You weren't really focused on the location. You didn't really acknowledge the location. That's why as an adult, everything seems so familiar, like it feels like you've been there before, because you have been there before. It's just in your mind. When you were younger, you didn't really like pay attention to the location, like where you were at, right? And so as an adult, everything is sort of blurry as far as like these places that seem like you've been there before. You've been there before. They're just kind of blurry from memory because you weren't focused on those locations, right? Liminal spaces, they just kind of remind you when like times were simpler, you know, like when you were a toddler, you weren't about the stupidest things like, is mom gonna buy me that new toy or something, or, you know, that kind of thing. It evokes that kind of sense of like the world was simpler, the world was smaller, you know. And I love the back rooms for that. It invokes this super interest. It invokes this just crazy like sense of, I don't know. I love it, dude. I just love how it focuses so much on the past. It gets you so nostalgic, and it somehow throws fear into there. And I'm gonna actually get to that. I think it's cool because like when you were, like I said, when you were a toddler, you had all these other things. You didn't really think about the location, but now that you're in in the back rooms, the main focus is the location. That's the only thing you can think about. And with it all being blurry and unfamiliar, it just adds to, not only does it add to like the obvious fear of the unknown, right? Like what is this place, you know? It adds a sense of weird nostalgia. Like, should I know where I'm going? Should I recognize this place? Am I supposed to you know, I it's so good. I love the back rooms so much. I love liminal spaces. I love the back rooms. I love this representation of the past. It reminds me of simpler times, and it's an odd comfort. Like, it can be scary or uneasy or like, you know, you know, but it could also be comforting. And a lot of people actually find the backrooms comforting, despite it trying to be a horror thing. People do find comfort in the back rooms, and I could totally see why. It's bringing you back to the past, right? And if you're really antisocial, the back rooms is like, if you're really antisocial and we ignore the interpretations of entities, you're just by yourself in these like cool these corridors. It's a heaven. It's heaven, right? So yeah, I love the back rooms. I love I mean, yeah, the liminal spaces back rooms. I don't like calling them the same thing because they're not. Liminal spaces, it's just more about of an aesthetic, you know. And then backrooms is taking that aesthetic and inserting the whole like no clipping, you know, other world thing. But I don't want to consider them this. They're not. I don't see them as the same thing. Of course, the backrooms uses liminal spaces as its building blocks, but they're not. I don't see them as the same thing. But I love both of them each so much. I love the aesthetic of liminal spaces, and I love the backrooms. I think they're such cool concepts. Now, I'm not really sure how to end this video because I was just I didn't I'm not using a script, right? I'm not using a script. I'm basically doing this all in one take, and so I'm sort of stuttering, and so I apologize for that. But yeah, I guess I'll just end it here. If you enjoyed this video, uh, yay! I'm glad you did. I'm glad you stayed through and listened to me, you know, ramble about my interests. And yeah, bye.